Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great. I'm really excited to be here today talking to you about a topic that's near and dear to me that I find is extremely misunderstood, as most people haven't been educated and really don't know too much about CBD. So my name is Lynda Knowles, and I can tell you I've been involved with Herbalife now for 20 years. I came across Herbalife when I was looking for a way to escape my corporate job, and I'm thankful that Herbalife allowed me to do that and to stay home with our firstborn child. And we've been consuming it as a family now for 20 plus years. Absolutely love the products, and I was so excited when I saw that Herbalife was getting involved in the CBD product arena, because I know enough about the company to know that when they do something, they do it right, and they always create great, superior quality products. So we're going to go through today, and I'm going to give you an overview on, the history of hemp, kind of understanding the difference between hemp and marijuana, what are cannabinoids, our ECS, or endogenous cannabinoid system, the different types of CBD, some things you need to know as a consumer, and then the specific products that Herbalife just launched. But this picture definitely is a great representation of my face and how excited I was when I found out that they were doing this. So if you're like me, I can tell you I was raised kind of with the attitude, and I can tell you that marijuana is still classified as a Schedule I drug here in the United States. And so I grew up with these ads, this is your brain on drugs, don't do it. Marijuana was categorized right in there with heroin, with cocaine. And it's just so I had that mindset that this isn't something that we should do. And so I did not know. And when I kind of learned the history and found out how it's been a huge part of American history, world history, this slide kind of goes through and just gives you an overview of a few things. But I can tell you it was brought, hemp, cannabis was brought here to the United States by European settlers back in the 1600s, and it quickly caught on, and farmers started growing it. At one point in time, it was used as a currency that could actually be used to pay your taxes here in this country. There was actually a war that was fought, and I can tell you that hemp was a huge part of, controlling it. Was a big part of the War of 1812 hemp trade. Several of our forefathers were hemp farmers and were huge hemp advocates. And it's been used, hemp can be used to create so many different things. I have a slide here I'm going to show you on some of its uses in just a minute. But I know that the train station in San Diego was actually built out of hempcrete, like the walls, the material that actually built that building are made from hemp. Our Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. If you were ill back in the late 1800s, from about 1830 through 1940, if you would go to your doctor and had problems with, blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, it was very common for the doctor to prescribe you some cannabis. You would go to the pharmacy, and they actually had cannabis tinctures that were used for all sorts of different medical conditions to help to support people and treat them naturally. And so it's really cool when you go back and research this to understand how, so many people, we've benefited from it for such a long time. So then it makes you question, well, why is this not the case today? And when you learn and you kind of dig into that a little bit, unfortunately, it has a lot to do with some greed and power. And it became something that was taken away from us back in the 1930s. And so I really felt duped. And I can tell you the emotions I went through. I remember initially when I found and learned about this, it angered me a little bit when you understand the health benefits and what it does for us, and that it was taken out of our food chain, because it was grown and it was the main source of food for all of our farm animals. And so we naturally, just through consuming, eggs, milk, the meats, would get cannabinoids, and we're going to talk about that here in just a moment, in our diet. And it did so many good things for us. Well, back in the 1930s, after the alcohol prohibition ended, and hemp was really growing in popularity. They were finding more and more uses for it. You may not know this, but one of the first Model T cars that Henry Ford made was made out of hemp. And so, it's stronger than steel. It's the strongest fiber that's out there. It's phenomenal, and it grows rapidly. And so it's very inexpensive to grow. And it threatens so many different industries. So There, back in the 1930s, these three gentlemen, Andrew Mellon, William Randolph Hearst, and Henry Anslinger, basically got together and created a campaign that was very anti-marijuana, anti-cannabis, and with hemp being kind of grouped into this family with marijuana. They had a film that was created called Reefer Madness. If you look it up, there's like on YouTube, I think about a 2-inch little trailer to it, but it shows you, and it's ridiculous, on what happens to individuals when they go from being law-abiding citizens to suddenly hardened criminals after smoking a joint. And if any of you have ever been around somebody that's the case, you're going to know that's not the reality. And but the public bought into it, and there was a lot of lobbying and just people wanting to do something about it, to get it under control and to take it out of kind of mainstream. And so in 1937 they enacted the Marijuana Tax Act, and it didn't just tax marijuana. What it did was it taxed all cannabis. They put it all together, and it meant farmers could no longer grow it and make a profit, and so they quit growing it. And it's really sad because then it was removed from our food from our food chain, and they replaced hemp with corn, and so started farming a lot of corn. And for those of you that know much about corn and its nutritional values, or I guess I should say non-nutritional values, you'll realize that was a huge mistake, and something that I'd like to think that they knew nothing about how they were impacting us and our overall wellness and health at that time. It was more about, wanting to get it away. They didn't want paper to be made from it. They didn't want fuels to be made from it. And so it was just trying to eliminate that. And it ended up being a big negative for us historically. But this goes through and kind of breaks down some of the differences between hemp and marijuana. And I know I personally didn't understand that there was a difference. But this kind of shows and explains, where hemp grows is very tall. It can grow, 15, 20 feet tall. And I will mention that, it grows very quickly. The term weed could be used because, where weeds grow and spread like mad, so does this plant. And so they grow to and mature within about a 4-month period. And so you can actually grow multiple crops within a year in fields. And just with literally next to no watering, it doesn't take much for them to grow and flourish. Hemp has a very high concentration of CBD, a very low concentration of THC. Some people think that hemp doesn't contain THC, and that's false. Both hemp and marijuana contain both CBD and THC. It's just with those two cannabinoids, they're opposite in that hemp is high CBD and low THC. Marijuana is high THC and low CBD. Hemp is grown predominantly around the world for its fibers and used, for lots of different textiles. We also use it for food sources. There's hemp seeds. You can get protein powders from hemp, a lot of different hemp oils. And then versus marijuana, where it's got that high concentration of THC. THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. And basically that is the one cannabinoid that has a psychoactive effect on us. And so when they talk about the high, that's where the high comes from. It's from the THC that's in that plant, and it's basically grown for its higher concentrations of THC. Marijuana does not have industrial applications. It doesn't contain the same fibers, and so it can't be used in the same way as hemp. Where hemp food products are legal here in the United States, I can tell you the Farm Act of 2018 made it legal for all 50 states for them to start farming hemp again and start growing it, which is a huge win for our country. And so you'll find a lot of different hemp products in food stores, with this hemp seed, hemp oil, we mentioned that. Whereas marijuana, it still remains illegal at a federal level. There are 34 states that have passed laws basically legalizing marijuana for its medicinal use. And as of the last election, there are now 11 states that have legalized marijuana for its recreational use. So 2 plants, very different within the cannabis family. And so when we talk about hemp, which is, where we get our CBD products from, and all of the different uses with, you know, the oils. This just kind of shows a wide variety of some of the things, but to know that there's over 50,000 uses. You can actually make plastic from hemp. And so the cool thing about plastic made from hemp, if you think of a water bottle, it's biodegradable, where it basically is absorbed back into the ground, and it has about a 90-day life cycle. So from when it's produced, and you could, you know, consume water. Although when I think about this, I'm like, how could we integrate that into stores? They'd have to definitely come up with expiration dates. Otherwise you'd have these things deteriorating on store shelves, which wouldn't work too well, but it's amazing for our environment. A lot of really, really good things there. So I want to talk about within the hemp plant what are referred to as cannabinoids. And cannabinoids are basically compounds that are found in the cannabis plant family. They're also in other plants as well. But there are currently about 148 known cannabinoids. And so CBD, which stands for cannabidiol, and THC, as I mentioned, the tetrahydrocannabinol, are the two most common cannabinoids. But there's another 146, CBN, CBG, CBD1. I mean, there's just all these different cannabinoids that they've literally dissected and know can have some different benefits. And so these, you can also find the cannabinoids in like the echinacea plant, flax, a lot of our common teas, kava, hops. And so there's also other compounds that are found within the cannabis plants, chlorophyll, terpenoids, flavonoids, the plant waxes, and these have different benefits to us as we're consuming those plants. A couple of fun facts when we talk about cannabinoids and what they do for us is, I know the runner's high that a lot of individuals will experience. Personally, I can't say that I've had that runner's high because running is not my thing, but it's actually your body releasing the cannabinoid anandamide, which crosses the blood-brain barrier and basically gives you that feeling, that euphoric feeling that you experience when you're running. Another fun fact that I learned when I was researching cannabinoids and understanding that our body contains these and can produce these is when we, as women, when we're pregnant and we have our babies, our body actually increases its own production of cannabinoids, and it's something that we feed to our babies through our breast milk. So I know there's tons of research out there that supports breast milk as being such a healthy thing for babies, and those babies that are breastfed over ones that aren't actually have stronger immune support systems. Well, I never understood that cannabinoids are a big part of that support and a lot of, you know, what the baby is getting when they're consuming breast milk. So this is a diagram that goes through and talks about the endogenous cannabinoid system. And so this is basically something that exists inside of all of us. And it was actually discovered back in 1982. And so, and there's a gentleman, his name's Dr. Raphael Mechoulam. He's a huge, he's in Israel. The United States has actually been funding cannabis research for over 50 years. And so he has been a big part and plays a big role in a lot of this research and information that we've received. But he discovered this system, which actually it's the largest self-regulatory system in our bodies. So it regulates more than our respiratory system, our cardiovascular system, our circulatory system. And so if you just think of that, it helps to control and keep things in balance, like our mood, our sleep, appetite, our hormone production. We have what are referred to as CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors. The CB1 receptors are highly concentrated within our brain, and you know, they're peppered throughout our body, but this is really what's going to influence a lot of that mood, sleep, appetite, hormone production, versus the CB2 receptors, which are located in our digestive tract, which really help to support our bodies with all things autoimmune. And so when our body consumes cannabinoids, and it helps to kind of get our body in balance and what's referred to as homeostasis, it's just because we're consuming the right amount that our body needs to more or less regulate itself. Versus if we're deficient in our cannabinoid consumption, then these systems they get out of whack, and there's a lot of challenges that people deal with. I can tell you that through researching, hemp, CBD, cannabinoids, all of this, there's over 20,000 medical research studies. So these are documented studies that are done by hospitals, by universities, that they create. These documents are called white papers, and white papers are what medical professionals use to help them in how they practice medicine. And so there's all of these documented studies that go through with hundreds of different medical conditions that people struggle with. And it will show how the consumption of cannabinoids has impacted those individuals and supported them with a lot of those different conditions. So it's truly mind-blowing when you start researching and start looking into it, just to understand how this plant, which has a very high concentration of cannabinoids, when consumed, does amazing things for us and helping just to regulate our body and allowing our body to kind of, manage itself and get us into homeostasis. And another cool thing is understanding that all mammals have an ECS. And so it's not just people, but our pets. I know we have 2 dogs in our family, and both of them, we have a 9-month-old puppy and a 9-year-old dog. And so they both consume CBD, and it helps them with managing. A lot of pets deal with like arthritic pain, and they deal with anxiety. A lot of pets deal with separation anxiety and things like that. And so being able to support them to kind of help them with getting some of that in balance, just so they can be more active and a little more chill when they're away from us, is a great benefit. And horses actually have 100 times the receptors that we do as humans, whereas our pets have 10 times the receptors. So a little bit really goes a long, long way for them in supporting their systems and getting them in balance. So when we talk about CBD, there's basically 3 forms that are used that you'll find products out in the marketplace, that they're either going to be a full spectrum, a broad spectrum, or a CBD isolate. And this diagram kind of helps a little bit to kind of show you a full spectrum product basically includes all the parts of that cannabis plant. And so you've got your CBD, your THC, some other cannabinoids, but you've also got flavonoids, terpenes, chlorophyll, plant waxes, a lot of different compounds that are all beneficial when they're held together and work together. So you're basically leaving the plant intact. Broad spectrum is where they take that THC and they extract it out of the plant. And so there are a lot of individuals, different professions. It could be, I know here in Arizona, we have medical professionals, your first responders, truck drivers. These are people that have random drug screens. And with THC still being scheduled as a Schedule 1 drug in our country, they're not allowed to have that in their system. And so it's important to have that extracted out so that it's undetectable. And so that's what a broad spectrum product is. And then there's a CBD isolate. CBD isolate is where they actually go in and take the CBD and extract it out of the plant so it stands by itself. And so there are a lot of products that you'll find that just contain CBD only. It doesn't have any of the other plant byproducts. A lot of the research supports that when you keep the plant together and, full, that CBD and THC, they work very well together. They actually support each other very nicely. And one of them actually helps the other work a little bit better. And so they're all, great options, but I think that full spectrum products it's a phenomenal blend. But understanding that in many instances, we need to have that broad spectrum. So how do I know if I've come across a quality product when I'm exploring CBD? Well, there's a few things that I know I look for that I think are important. The first one is that I only want to get a product that's been third-party tested. So a lot of times you have the plant that's grown in one area, a company purchases that plant, and then they, manufacture their product. And then it's important though that product is taken and sent out to another third party that can basically analyze that product and to determine that, number one, if you're saying it contains so many milligrams of CBD, is it actually present? And so you want to know that what you're buying is what you're getting. You also want to know that there's no toxins or other ingredients in that plant that could be harmful to you. And so it's important that there's what are referred to as certificates of analysis that third-party companies will produce within the CBD area and arena, excuse me. And so I always look for that, and I need to have that before I would consume any product, because there's an insane amount of garbage that's out there. And I pulled this up off of Amazon because I know a lot of people, I've run across them where they're like, well, I tried CBD, or I tried this, or I tried that. I'm like, well, what did you use? And, this would be an example of something. First of all, I don't think people know that on Amazon does not allow any sale of CBD. However, if you type it in, it's going to pop up all these hemp oils and hemp extracts. And what a lot of people don't understand is just because something is a hemp oil or a hemp extract does not mean it contains 1 milligram of CBD. CBD is a specific part of the plant that has to be extracted and produced in a specific way. So remember, 50,000 products can be made from the hemp plant. All 50,000 of those products do not contain CBD. And so it's really important to understand that. And this was an example of a product that I pulled up. It actually says it contains 1 million milligrams. Well, it contains 1 million milligrams of I don't know what, but I guarantee you it's not CBD. And this product, I think, was priced at like $20. They're marketing gimmicks. I like to think of them as snake oil that's being sold out there, that a lot of people, when they've heard of somebody that had a positive experience with CBD, so they just go looking, not knowing any different. A lot of times they come across something like this and just they try it. It does absolutely nothing for them. You'd be just as well off maybe, drinking some coconut oil that you might have out of your kitchen cabinet. It's not, just like where that's not necessarily going to support your body and create that homeostasis. This won't either. Yet they feel that they've consumed CBD, not knowing any different, and it doesn't work for them. And the reality is they didn't. So when these products were introduced to me, the Ritual line is what Herbalife just launched. And they've dipped into the topical arena. And I know there's still so much misinformation, so much education that needs to occur out there within the CBD space. So Herbalife is dipping into this arena right now, currently with topicals. And so they have this balm, and it's a phenomenal product. It's very creamy. It goes on easy. It's a blend with some, the different, it smells great. It's got your essential oils that are blended right into it. And so when you have areas on your body where maybe you're dealing with some discomfort, whether it's, after a really strenuous workout or just different challenges you have, I know with the nature of my husband and the work that he does, where, sometimes he gets aches and pains that he's dealing with just through work. And over time, we found where some of them cause him to not be able to sleep well at night. Taking the balm and rubbing it on and rubbing it in can help to support him so he gets a great night's sleep. And the cool thing when we talk about topicals and like this relief balm is when you're using a CBD topical. So I want to mention where this is broad spectrum. So it has had the THC removed so that it's non-detectable in the product. And it's got 1,000 milligrams of CBD inside of it, which is phenomenal. So it's a great level. I can tell you, when I looked at the test results for the containers that I had, where it says 1,000 milligrams, I think the jar that I had actually had closer to 1,200 milligrams. And so Herbalife's ensuring that we have at least 1,000 milligrams in every jar. And many of them you're going to find are going to contain more than that, but they're not going to contain less than that. And so it works. It goes on smooth. It works really well, and you get relief very quickly. And so that's the cool thing about topicals. It's a very, very fast relief, which just really helps you in relaxing and, being able to move on with your day and feel good about things. And then the second product that they introduced is the facial serum. And I know where it has a phenomenal blend, again, with the different working deeply to moisturize and soothe and rejuvenate. These products are new. Like I said, we just got our hands on them about a week and a half ago. But I know I had heard from Cindy, and who's been using the product for a little while, where she just talked about, you know, her skin and how great it felt. And I can just tell you personally, from putting it on, it blends in very quickly, even though it's an oil and you're rubbing it on, where I kind of have a combination of oily and dry skin. It absorbed fast, and your skin, it just feels so soft and so rich. So this contains 250 milligrams of the broad spectrum cannabinoids. And so it's a phenomenal product. And I also want to mention, just, you know, having navigated and worked with different products that we've consumed over the years through within the CBD space, the price point on these products is phenomenal. It's a great value with what you're receiving. And so it's something that, you know, I highly recommend, if you have not yet tried these products, that you explore them. I know, you know, for women, anti-aging, I think we're all into that. We'd all love to we want to look at least our age or a little bit younger if possible. And I know that supporting yourself topically with a high quality hemp product is definitely going to help you in getting there. So, I just wanted to share some of my passion and a little bit of the knowledge that I have within the CBD space, in hopes that this is going to help you all with not only feeling really good about trying these products and integrating them into your daily routine, but also sharing them with others and getting them excited about, you know, some of the health benefits and things that they can receive from consuming it. So I just want to thank everybody for their time today. I know we're getting ready to kick off a broadcast here, going over nutrition clubs and the amazing opportunity that we have within them. I know we operated a club here in Peoria, Arizona, that we've had now for a little over 5 years. And so you're in for quite a treat on just learning about the benefits and everything that it can do for you. And, you know, maybe just working part-time, or if you're interested in opening up your own shop, we definitely have a big need and demand for that throughout our country. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate everybody's attention, and I hope you got something useful out of tonight's presentation.